So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show, impromptu, on Friday afternoons in the UK. And I've got out my little sketchbook, as I call it, my huge sketchbook that I made out of brown paper and paper liner. And I'm having a bit of a play with some extremely old but wonderful neoart aquarella. And they're basically Neocolor 2s before they were called Neocolor 2s, and they're as fat as your finger. I can't tip that one up because it'll. I've got some black water. I've got some water in there, and the white one's dried now. So how I use them, and my daughters are the same. You hold them and you just play with them with a paintbrush, and that's exactly what she did when she drew this while watching television a couple of weeks ago. She just kind of dipped in some white and black and white and black, and she ended up with that beautiful puss who and she uses it. She puts me to shame because she has a photograph on a phone half the size of mine, and she can come out with this. So she had a paintbrush and two sticks of colour and a little pot of water, and I think that is just wonderful. The reflection in the eyes are amazing, and his fur, and he sits like that because he's a bit of a fat boy, and he sits like that. And again, I don't think that's gouache, it's the white. His whiskers are white, it's just the white neo art, and she just sat with that. And she kind of put me to shame. So when I went into the caravan, now she says, don't show any more. Oh yeah, look at that. I mean, this is a girl that's not even doing art at school. Oh, she's trying to do noses. Um, she did another nice one. See, look at that. How she can say she can't draw. But I did teach them when they were about 5 years old. I did teach them. She did that with the white as well. So it's a fairly good white, is that? And this is from Cass Art, these sketchbooks, and but I like them because they take a small. If you look on the back, it's hardly crinkled. They take a small amount of water. So they make the best sketchbooks, but I just thought that was just absolutely amazing. Um, this is the green antelope. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much you zoom in, it's still awesome. Look at his tip of his ear. And that is our big bad sooty, who's huge. He sits like a big boy, a big cross boy. So I had to show sooty. And it's quite a big sketchbook, is this? It's not an A5. It's printer paper size, which is about 11 3/4 by 8, I think. So I had to show you Sooty, but she did it with this, and he looks like he's got yellow eyes, but it is just a black and white. So she's a very clever girl. So I have been in the caravan, and I found a photocopy of a sketchbook, and I loved books. This is my thing. So of course everybody is now with the books, the pile of books. So this is from a painting that I painted. I would think 2009, something like that. Maybe 2007 when I first started my access course. No, I tell a lie. I used this for my final piece, so it would have been 2010 because I started uni at 2011 and I finished it 2012. No. So, oh yes, darling, thank you. If you can make a space, that would be wonderful. Thank you. I've been gasping for a cup of tea because you've been missing. And so this inspired me, and I ended up with this piece. If I can get the photo to work. Um, so it's a girl rushing out of a room. It's like a library. And I really like that. So I thought, I'd forgotten about it, and I thought, oh, I'm going to start to draw a bit and paint a bit. So I've got back in my rough sketchbook, and I've just had a bit of a play with this. And it's really simple. I did start out with a white, but I didn't actually use it. And all I've been doing, I used quite a large brush actually. See? And all I was doing was dipping in the water, and I've made a well in the top. So if you go in the middle, it's kind of diluted, but if you go around the edge, you're going to get a dark kind of line. So I thought I'd play with books. Again, so some books, and this particular brush, although it's quite a big long brush, it's quite nice to hold. And I can't draw with a pencil anymore, or pastel, or anything with a pencil anymore. So I thought, and again, I don't really want to look at this. You just start, and you've got another fat book, and as long as they kind of fit. I want it just that little bit darker, so I'm just going around the edge that bit stronger. Oops. And if you twist it to a point, this particular brush is behaving quite well, and you can look how fine you can get that line. And we can, all these books have to be following that way, but there's no reason why we can't have another one right next to it. And this is my doodle. This is my normal doodle, just playing with books. Now what you can do is, oops, that's not very straight, is you've got a bookcase, so you can bring those books back out. And you can put them back in if you want, so you can do anything you want with them. And then you can have kind of one going this way, and you do need to keep an eye on the, so we've got a book going that way this way this time. And that's all you just keep doing is just creating books. And then you can have some little short fat ones, and you can have some sliding down ones. You can have 3 sliding down together, then you've got to straighten them up again, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of space. So you can have some tall ones, and you can kind of really get those falling back. But then what you can do is put dark here, and you've got some shadow then. You've got some shadow. And then you can start playing with shadow and, and messing about with them. And you just keep building the shape, building the shadows up. Whoopsie. And then what you can do is we can put, all old leather ones have labels on them, and they're all rounded because the spines are all rounded because it's how they were made. And the reason they were made like that is so that they would lie flat, and they weren't glued. There was movement in the spine. Oopsie. Just keep going back and get some more. So I've got rather a large brush, but you can get, if it's a good brush, you can get, and again, if that's kind of sticking up there, then you've got a shadow, so you can start playing with shadows. And the shadows can be under the books, or this can be a white shelf. And we can have a lot of shadow underneath, so we can have a little bit of a shadow. And then we've got the highlight of the front of the bookshelf. So there's lots of ways. You can make a book look as if it's got a shadow. I can't remember how I did these because it's a while ago. It's a while ago. But some of the books are kind of falling that way, some are falling that way, some are all the same, and I like to think that some are kind of connected. And but I can't honestly remember how I did that. But then I've obviously gone over and put a shadow. And that's the beauty of this gorgeous colour. This gorgeous black is, you can have it strong or you can have it light, and you can then play. You know, obviously right under this shelf is going to be very dark. So you can do all sorts of wonderful things with it. And all you're doing is you're sketching, what I call sketching with a paint, sketching in paint. You're sketching with a paintbrush instead of a pencil, which again I say I find a little bit too hard to do. So when you get your paler colour, and we can have that one. So all the sides are the same. And then if you take a very, very pale one, again you can then start playing with shadows and highlights and things, and some will be in darkness, and you've just got to be a bit careful about going over the same place twice. But remember, you know, this is paper liner, it's not sketchbook. So, but it does free you up a little bit. If you're like me, a bit frightened of using things, it frees you up a little bit. And again, this is my doodle, so I can sit and doodle this forever. I love my doodle. So I thought you just might find that interesting. And then, as I say, you can go in there, and you've got your greys in there, then you can go in there and put your blacks in there if you want. So, and you're going to have darker to one side and lighter on the top. And then you can get a shadow under the label, and you can end up with all sorts of kind of really nice effects, because it's like it's a bit like charcoal. Charcoal's the same. You know, a mark is going to be so much better than a straight pencil line. So you can get some really nice effects. And shadows. And it's a very rough sketch. I mean, it's not a finished piece at all, but what it gives you is it's just mark making. Basically, that's what it is. It's mark making. And you really need to be at the right angle because you can tell when it doesn't work. You know, that one doesn't work, you can tell. So it's always a good idea to try and get it right if you can. And then, you know, a dark shadow underneath is always going to look quite good. And then we need that white shelf again there. So once we've got that shelf, so that one's got to be that one, I think. So just go across. And now we've got, so then we need another one, and that's going to be the top of the books. And we want to be about the same. So we now have another pile of books. Or get bigger and smaller, or once you start with a direction, though, I normally always stay with the same direction. It's very rare that I do change. And again, you've got that. So you can either leave that in the light or put it in a shadow. And we have another pile of books going across. And it just goes on and on and on. So again, you can fill the books in. And then we can put some shadow. Oops, it's probably a bit dark, but you know, it's fine. It's a shadow. So have you got any questions? Now what you can do is, if you notice here, the top of the ones that you're looking up to the book, these you're looking across, these you're looking down. So they're head on, so you can't see a lot of the tops, but here you can see more top. And then again, that gives you more perspective. That was just a sketch, you know, it's just a doodle, is that one, but it's to give you an idea of what there is, what you can accomplish with a doodle, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And again, you can just you know, you just think of a book. Are they tall books? Is it a set of 4 books together? Is it 4 books and one's slipped down, but it's the same size? Have we got some little short fat books? Do we have some very large fat books? There's all sorts of combinations. And remember, sometimes if you're changing direction looking, the books change direction. So in front of you they should be more straight than there. So as you look at the bookcases, your perspective changes. Oh, hi, Blonde Woman Standing King. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. Just having a play with a stick of colour, and it's I've got a good idea of what I'm doing anyway, but it's a good idea to have a sketch because I haven't played like this for quite a long time. And of course, being in a shelf, if this was the bottom shelf, it would be kind of really dark, and you might just see the edges of them. So again, some of these are really nice because they've got really dark edges into them, so you know that there's some really grungy books in there. Now this is made up. If you were drawing you could use a library, you could use a reference of lots of books, but it's just to have a play. It's just to get this inspiration going again, because whatever it's been gone a while, and I didn't think I'd be able to do it, but I so enjoyed painting yesterday. And oh, Alfie was such a naughty boy, and the camera failed, and the lamp failed, and it was such a disaster. So it was quite a disaster. Was my first live paint along, but never mind. I did it. I think the first one, the nerves got to me a bit as well. So I quite like this, and it's a doodle. So that's a photocopy of a doodle. So I'll drink my tea, seeing as how you made it for me. Has anybody got any questions? So thanks for stopping by. So that's the little girl going about her business, running away from the party, and again just a bit of a creating some more shadow by putting now it's dried completely. You can get in there with some really dark shadows. And maybe under there, although this was quite dark. So she was definitely looking like she was going somewhere. The fireplace probably wanted straightening up maybe a bit because it's looking rather dark and drab. But of course, it's a fireplace, so it wants to be looking very dark and drab. It's a fireplace. The advantage of a big brush is you can work quite small, or you can kind of get some good coverage over it. But it's very similar to charcoal. I'm using a Neo Color Art, which is like a Neo Color 2, but I've had these 20 years. This particular set I haven't. I bought this set for my daughter, and she used it for her pussycat, and so she sits and watches TV, and she painted that. With basically a black and a white, because these are kind of really fat, and they're called neoarts, and they are water soluble wax pastels by Caran. So these are before Neocolor 2s, and they brought them out in that set, which is fantastic, and they're as nearly as fat as your finger. And they're wonderful. I went all across Europe, and all you want is a brush, and she just dipped into those two, and she drew Sooty, our cat, from a photograph. So she's a very clever girl. Look at his ears, and then his whiskers, and that's a white one. Yeah, they are an old one, and I don't think you can get them anymore. But again, all you need is to play about, and you get the most amazing effects. Now that's actually a photocopy, and that's what I did for college a long time ago, before I did my degree. 2011, 2010, 2011. But it's the piece that actually got me into uni. It got me onto the degree course. So it was for a 5 foot by 5 foot um, painting that looks, oopsie, that looks like that. So there were thousands of books. That's my old sofa. So there's a fireplace and there's a mirror, and in the mirror there's a reflection of thousands of books. And she's fleeing out of the room. Yes, it's fantastic, isn't it? Yeah. And that's not the daughter that's at uni doing art either. It's the other one. She's fantastic. So and I didn't use the white. You can use the white, but I haven't. Um, that's where I got the white out. But actually, I like just playing with the black. And I'm in my my little sketchbook that I call it. My little sketchbook. I thought I'd have a play and stop being precious with everything. So I'm playing in my sketchbook that I made from brown paper and paper liner. This is paper liner, which is about £1, 99p. And I used the Copic stitch. So I've been in the caravan and found a few old pieces of my art, and that's what gave me the idea to be a bit more creative again. And I can't really use a pencil or a pen like I wanted to, but I thought I could play in here. So this is my little one. Am I back again? It keeps kicking me off. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Yes, please, Ellen, you can do. Yes, please. Yes. Anything, yes, darling. Thank you. Thank you. No, no, do it in the actual fry. Oh, no, do it in the oven then. Okay, darling, that's lovely. Thank you. Sorry about that. They're hungry, bless them. So this is my tiny sketchbook that I made. And you see, the beautiful thing, I went across Europe with this. I had a little water pot in one hand, and one stick of colour, and I went across. Oh, thank you, thank you. But what I've done is made a little well. If you see, it's shiny. because my daughter's done it as well, and you can put water in it. So if you go in the middle, it's going to be grey, but if you touch it the outside, you get jet black. But you have to sit it upright, otherwise it'll tip out. But I love these, and I've given a few pack. They had a thinner pack, but these are just, you only need these colours for Neocolor art. They are so vibrant, so mixable, so everything else. If you just get these 15 colours, that's all you need. Fantastic. Oops, it's a bit sharp. Uh, I made this and I loved my big sketchbook, but then I fell out of love with it, but now I love it again now. Oh, thanks, Claudia. Do I mean caravan? I mean caravan. I have two caravans, two old caravans full of my junk. But one of them's got my art stuff in. It was my art studio, but I can't get electrics. Well, I can get electrics, but I can't get the internet. Otherwise, I would be streaming from the caravan because it's a beautiful, quiet place. I shut the door and nothing happens. So this is I made this out of the biggest cereal box I could find. And I did a video of it, and it weighs a ton, and I made the signatures. And for each signature, I put a little bead on. And this is crochet cotton, but it's very tough. And I did the Copic stitch, which is Japanese binding stitch, I think it's called. And then I found these lovely white beads. And I am going to put things at the end, but you can't really use it if you've got lots of beads on it. It'll drive you insane. So I decided that in the centre of each signature, and I don't know how many I've put in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 signatures. And it's a cornflakes, it's a cereal box. It's only a flimsy cereal box, but I've covered it in wallpaper and put some lace on it, and I'm going to put a nice gold buckle on it, and it's quite big. It's the biggest cereal box I could find, and originally I think originally it was 11.5 by 13.5. Although that might have been it there. I think it might have been 9, 10. And then I've added a bit extra to it. I think I just cut it down the middle, thinking about it. This, actually, tell a lie, this is the original spine, and the original spine of the cornflakes box was 3 3/4. So it's rather big, but I made it so that I wanted it to be nice, but I wanted it so that I could use it, because I've got really expensive things and I will not use them. So this is not precious. That's the first attempt at DigiArt. So I did put, as I say, these little beads in each. So each signature has a bookmark. So I just decided to start playing because I'd forgotten about some art that I'd found. And I'd done some brown paper, and that's why I put it in here, and then I could not get into it again. So this is the sketch I did of my daughter in a dress. This was on brown paper with poster paint, I think. I think it's white acrylic, black and white acrylic, and it's on brown paper and it's huge. So I'm going to reel in, I've got some brown paper somewhere that I'm going to put on my desk because I need inspiration, and that's the same black paint, Neocolor art, and it has like a pencil effect, like almost like a charcoal, but no mess. You just have a stick of colour. So that was to inspire me to get going again. So I want to try. I had a strange thing happen with a butterfly on a birthday a few years ago. I don't think I was 50, but I might have been 50. maybe 49, 50. On my birthday, I was sitting in the lounge and a butterfly landed on my hand and it just didn't move. So I squeezed a little bit of orange into the crease of my hand and it turned round and it brought out its babiscus, I think it's called, and had a drink. And it wouldn't get off my finger. I tried to kind of manipulate it onto my other, and it would not go anywhere. And we were going out for a meal, and I have a funny feeling that I took this butterfly out to a restaurant because it would not go off my finger. And it still wouldn't get off my finger when I came to bed, but I think I had to force it because I was frightened that if I turned over, I would have crushed it. So I had a rather strange affair with a butterfly. So that led me on to kind of some very and I was doing contemporary fine art at the time, so it gave me rise to some rather strange work, shall we say, of this butterfly turning into my protector. So there was kind of this image with this huge wings. So he was kind of my Prince Charming, except for he was obviously this size. And I will find the photographs, but they are blurred. But I did manage to draw this while he was on my hand. So he was on my right hand, and I'm left-handed, and he was a little butterfly. And of course, he just would not. The girls had to dress me around this butterfly. I couldn't put the clothes on I wanted because I had a butterfly on my fingers. So it was rather strange. But that was Samantha's. I mustn't put that with mine. And I'd also found these in the caravan, and these are photographs of a rotting telegraph pole, which looked like some of the Rockies and the cliff faces. That there's a Chinese cliff face where people are walking around, and it looks like this, but this is actually wood. So again, that led me to a very strange, a rather strange place, shall we say. So I drew this. Again, it's that girl. It's my daughter, my eldest, at her prom dress, and the butterfly with his biboscus out. I think it's called a biboscus. Is it? Is his feeding thing? So that led me on rather a strange journey, and something that's going to come back is, and that's another photograph of it, is a mushroom found inside this rotting telegraph pole somewhere. There is a photograph of a toadstool, and this toadstool is very tiny, but because I turned my phone camera upside down and put it into the rotting telegraph pole, oh, there's the butterfly with his biboscus out. And that's I think that's acrylic or poster paint on brown paper, and yet they're the nicest, freest things I've ever done. So I'm going to go back to that. So this is the little mushroom, which looks really huge, and I absolutely love it. So I've got a picture of Samantha as a fairy, so she's going to go under there. And actually the rotting telegraph pole is about a foot across, it's a telegraph pole. So this is inside the telegraph pole. So most of it's gone down about a foot, 2 foot, and inside was all sorts of things growing, including the 2 little tiny mushrooms. But there were 3 plants in there. What an amazing place. I took thousands of photographs, and I used it to create a bit like Land of the Giants. It's the best way to describe it. So I used that one for my degree show, and I painted it in oils so it looked like another little world. These are actually photographs of it, but my painting will look slightly different, but it looks almost like rock, but it's actually wood. It's the inside of a rotting telegraph pole. but I kind of fell in love with it. So I'm a bit weird. We've already discussed that with Claudia. I'm a bit mad. So I may as well leave those actually in the back of this because these are I'm gonna draw some more. So I thought I couldn't really draw anymore. I've tried with pens and I couldn't do it in pencils. But with a big fat paintbrush, I've gone back to this way of sketching with some black acrylic. You could do it with black acrylic, black poster paint. Don't need anything expensive. And I think that'd look quite good. So this is actually a photocopy of an A3 sketchbook. And I want to find the sketchbook because it's got all my degree stuff in it. And that's a sketch of my youngest daughter in her prom dress. And that's a very quick sketch, watercolour sketch. So no drawing, you just get a brush and play with colour, and you just paint. You draw with paint, basically. That's how I do it. You draw with paint. And it's very easy on your hands. Again, that's the palette. So I scratched the colour on. So that's probably Neocolor 2s because I didn't have anything else. So Neocolor 2s again, scratch the colour. So all these colours are made for here. And I think there's the bookend, I think, somewhere. Some books. There's all sorts of things. I found quite a lot of art things. So I thought I'd go back to some art. And I've been inspired by doing my painting my books. And it's because I've been painting these books again that's got me back into being feeling artistic again. So that's quite good. Having said that, I couldn't walk. I couldn't move my arm this morning, but it's fine. It's fine. You have to suffer for your art. So I'm going to have a play with this. Again, it's brown paper when I find it. So this is brown paper. I put half a dozen pieces of brown paper in, and then I put some really cheap, nasty paper liner, and then I put some bit more expensive paper liner, an ivory colour. So it's a mixture of kind of junk papers, and that means that I don't have to be too precious with it. And I've made myself decide that I need to fill this. I need to fill it. So if I fold that to there, I can put that in there at the back. So anybody got any questions? I drink my cold tea. So it just reminds me of charcoal, and I say that's just black and white on brown paper. So again, that's going to be my new thing. So I've got my black acrylic out, and I've got my poster, and then I suddenly had a thought that was actually that the girl was actually the Neocolor 2s, and of course I bought my daughter these. We've all got a set each, and she loves these. It's her favourite watercolours. You don't need 500 and some, you just need 15. Best colours on the planet, 15. And I thought I'd have a bit of a play, so that led me to play in here. I want to put these away. But again, that image is obviously about, so I've decided I'm going to go back to this and paint some more my imaginary worlds, because I don't have an imagination. It was the butterfly that did it, and it's the image of my daughter in a prom dress, and the books. There's nothing about my imagination at all. That's my bathroom. I was in the bath and I liked the angle into the extension, and that's what I painted. So this is basically my bathroom door, but I just made it into a book. I made it into a bookshelf in the original. So I went from that, and then I got this, and then I finished the final piece. Hi May, welcome to Bunny's Designs. So I know I couldn't come up with this on its own. I could play with the books, but then again, this is Hattie in her dress, and then this is Samantha in her dress, and somewhere I've got Amy in her prom dress as well. And I've got four fantastic photographs of Amy because she has the curly hair. Because of course the milkman's got curly hair. This is Samantha's green dress, which was inspired by Elizabeth Bennet, of course. So that's her style. And so again, you see, I can put her leaving the room, and she had the same pearl flowers. And we bought them. No, we bought the shiny ones, and she wanted pearl ones, and so she got pearl ones, and they look so beautiful in her hair. And she did her hair herself. There's no expense at all. I can't bear to tell you how cheap her thing was, and she looked amazing. The lady remade the dress for me because we could not find the green. She had every green dress in that shop, but it wasn't the right green. So it was remade, and it was absolutely perfect. And she had three fittings for it, and it was fantastic. And it was the green she wanted. And of course, it was so unusual because that green has not been in fashion for at least 10 years. But of course, that makes girls individuals, doesn't it? So that's I've been playing with the little tiny books here, and then I decided that I'd kind of have a bit of a bigger play there, so I could fill that full of books. So that's what I was thinking about doing, and then I found another piece of artwork in my sketchbook. And I don't know if anybody knows what this is. Somebody made me this under my instructions, but bless him, he made it. So what you do is, if you're looking to match a colour, it's a long way away. What you do is you look through the hole, and it might be difficult to do. I've got to show this, but it's difficult. Bear with me. Right. So what you need is you've got half the yellow, and I'm looking at the screen, so hopefully you can see that as well. So you've got half the yellow, half the circle has got the yellow. That's the colour you're trying to mix. And then you mix your colour, and you paint the nearest yellow you can think of that you think it's right, and you paint it on the end of the white plastic, because this wipes off. So you put the colour on there, and then you put it back and show it up to the thing you want to. And when you look at that circle should be the perfect yellow. You know that that's the colour, and it's a colour matcher. Isn't that clever? Now there's something about the angle, and there's something about the angle of the screw, the hook and eye thing. It's only an eyelet screwed in. So you need to measure this to get it in the right angle so that you can do this. But I thought that was darn clever. So you match up the colour. Oh, sorry, poorly Claudia. So when that circle is exactly the complete same colour, you know you've colour matched. And the other thing I'll be using is, and I'll put it very safe, and Derwent make one. It's for measuring. It's for making things bigger and smaller, but you can also use it for measuring. So I was hurting myself by holding a brush and holding a thing and measuring. So what this does is, if you are drawing something, you can measure. If you look down there, you can measure by putting. Do it there. If by putting the 2 points, And you can change this depending on what you want. So if you put the 2 points, so these 2 points match here, and again it's straight arm, so then it never changes, because otherwise it would change. So you have your straight arm and you look at what you're measuring, like I did with the books. And if you move this across, you've then got the other side, and then you know if you're drawing, every single thing this way is going to be the same the other way. It's a guide. I can't think what it's called, but it's a measuring device. So you can measure things and you can make them bigger and smaller. A bit like the old-fashioned thing that if you want to draw something this big and you want to enlarge it, then you measure that, and then you know that's how you work it. So you measure with this end, and then you draw measured with this end. So that's how I did it with my stick, but this makes it easier. So I shall be using that to fine tune. And Derwent have brought one out, and I bought them for my girls, and they're called they're for measuring gauges and for making things bigger and smaller, but I can't think what they call them for the life of me. Um, and this technically doesn't go in here, but they've obviously forced it. And it's Victorian, I think, is this one. It's quite old, but Derwent make them. So with these two things, you can match your colours perfectly, and you can match your size and your proportions perfectly as well. But I will be going through these two things when I finish the books off, and I don't know what day that will be, just to make sure I don't damage her puddy tat. So thank you for joining me. I'm having a bit of a creative spurt, shall we say? Shall we say? Having a bit of a creative spurt. So um, the sketchbooks come out, and it will be going in the lounge with me, even though it's huge. And I will be taking these with me and a paintbrush, and I will be taking a little pot, and then that's going to give me a lot. That's dried now, so I can actually, there's a little hole in the top because we've been using it quite a lot. This is actually not my set because it's been damaged, but she's, well, I say damaged, she's got blue paint in the other end. I think mine's quite clever, but again, you can always tell a good set. It's got a pale yellow, it's got a lemony, a warm yellow, orangey, a red, then it's got a pink, then it's got French ultramarine. Neo still make these colours because I've matched them up. They still make these colours. There's permanent blue, there's Prussian blue, and then there's this one is a green turquoise blue, malachite. No, vert de malachite. Yeah, malachite. And then we've got purple, yellow ochre, sienna, burnt sienna, and then we've got grass green, white, and black. And that's a really thank you, Barbara. It's called a slide divider. Thank you. My brain wasn't in gear. Yes, so that's my Victorian slide, a slide divider, and a color matcher. Thank you for that. Hi, Barbara. Welcome to Bunny's Designs. So my little sketchbooks come out. But I like the fact you can do that. As I say, Samantha just sat and did that while watching TV, and the white goes over the black, so it's quite nice. She just sat there with this in her hand, and you just hold the stick, and that's what and I because I wondered what she was doing, and she was just looking at her phone and doing this kind of thing. But you get some really nice effects, and it's quite freeing drawing with a paintbrush. It's quite freeing. So when I by tomorrow my painting should be dry. So thanks for watching. That's my sketchbook, my rough sketches. Thanks for watching.